Yeah. Oh,
Why
did you
the
find
hell
out?
did Why the hell did you not tell me you were a Yu-Gi-Oh fan?
Oh, I just didn't bring it up. But hey,
What
you're
the
a Yu-Gi-Oh
hell
fan.
deck do you play, goddammit?
Oh no. I'm not meta contending. I'm
I don't give a
I'm
shit. What deck do you play, motherfucker?
witchcrafters.
Ooh, nice choice. Do you use the new
I
fusion?
I do. I have the new fusion. I haven't busted it out yet. I'm kind of collecting more at the moment because I never had anyone to play with. But
Okay.
but
I got hot tip for you. If you want to have a good Witchcrafter deck, you include a branded engine. You will not regret it.
oh come on, that's like that shit's tired, man.
It's good
It's
though.
expensive.
Okay.
It's not that expensive.
You all ready?
Ah,
We got viewers and
oh,
stuff.
Oh shit! Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
I didn't.
we have
Oh,
viewers.
right, I didn't know we were a live stream. Okay.
Oh,
We
It's
have
like-
viewers. Oh crap.
hey, it's better than like the what I almost started with. I had to make sure we weren't streaming. I promise I won't screw with the monetization this time.
If she
I'll
screws
say-
with it, she has to pay you for revenue loss.
To be honest, I'd earn more that way. I've even got to turn the monetization on. I can't even find it. Where is it? I think they took it away. Oh well. No monetization. Anyway. Hello everyone, welcome to the next Chebcast. Today we're going to be discussing Mannimarco. And we're here with Jinx,
Greetings once more.
Sidehammer,
Yo.
and Rambles.
Hi.
So what do we want to start with on this? I guess the
Probably
beginning?
an explanation as to who he is.
Yeah,
Okay.
or just to tell everybody, hey, we're doing Mannimarco today, and he was one of my favorite characters up until they decided to make him a high elf. I'm still a little bit pissed about that.
What do you mean he make him a high elf?
He wasn't a high elf in Daggerfall. Like nobody knew what race he was. Yes, he came from Artanum, but Artanum had more than just high elves. They had Chimer, they had Dwemer, they had all sorts of elves. I was actually led to believe he was Nedic. That he was a Breton.
I mean, he's technically not a high elf until when he transforms. Like he's a lich for most of his existence.
Yeah, and then ESO made him into an anime protagonist.
But a pretty anime protagonist.
Why did they make him pretty? Liches aren't supposed to be pretty. Necromancers aren't even supposed to be pretty. They're supposed to be like ugly. And I think I even talked about this last time. Like this was like my biggest like pet peeve with Mannimarco. And like
We did have a big discussion after the podcast of you telling me who he was, so maybe that was...
yeah, like that was also like a circus of tangents. It's like hi, my name is Rambles. The name is not a coincidence.
Let's talk about...
That's why I targeted you.
We will go on an adventure. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of nonsense and tangents.
Let's talk about Daggerfall then. Like how he appears and what he does and all that good stuff.
So in Daggerfall, now Mannimarco is one of the factions that you can choose to side with at the end game story. To make it a very simplified story, he needs a magic item, and you will give him the magic item. And if you do, he will use it to become a god. And so you do. But then we get into Dragon Breaks, and that's a whole other story. But essentially, that's how it boiled down to. In Daggerfall, he is an enigmatic figure. As Ramble said, it's very mysterious as to who or what he even is. But all we know is that he's a lich, and he's got the scary robes and all the skeletons, and he's even got the rare thing in evil overlords nowadays. He's got the random half naked ladies around him. So
yeah.
that's pretty evil overlord if I've ever heard anything.
Yeah, those nice ladies kind of stopped after Daggerfall, unfortunately.
Yes, I think they wanted to add a bit more class to it.
I think they stopped the nudity after Daggerfall because that was the one thing that piqued my interest and it almost kept me from playing the game at one point. Yeah, fun fact: when the game came out, we didn't have a PC that would play it, but my dad had a PC that could kind of handle it.
Rambles is surprisingly wholesome.
Here's the
doesn't
thing:
like
my
that
dad is a very smart man. He didn't know what Elder Scrolls was. He didn't know what Daggerfall was, and this looked like some cheesy shovelware game. But he was scared that my mom was gonna get mad if I accidentally got something that was too violent. He took a look at the game, and the first time he looked at it, he realized you can make the character completely naked, and there was no loincloth. And he said, "No, you're not allowed to play this game. Your mother will kill me."
Fair.
I didn't get to play it until years later when a friend of mine showed me how to pirate shit, and I went on a lot of very sketchy torrent sites. I eventually found a site that wasn't going to give me a virus. Thank you, kick-ass torrents. Fucking, did anybody remember that site? But yeah, I managed to play Daggerfall. It was considered a first edition. There was no like updates or anything. I don't think the version that I played, and this is kind of interesting, I didn't even know for the longest time you could join forces with Mannimarco. I didn't even know you could join his faction. Because like this is kind of my first time going with like games that give you options or give you choices.
Yeah, I wanted to ask what happens if you side with him.
So it's a bit, so basically for siding with him is essentially just you have to get, well, first you have to get in his good graces by doing some quests for him,
Yeah, I
which
was
are
about to
sort of
ask,
generic
how
things.
do you side with Mannimarco?
You basically, yeah, so you, as part of the main quest, you have to deliver a letter to someone, and it's basically about political intrigue. And you don't know who you're delivering the letter to. And then when you get to the area to deliver it to, turns out it's Mannimarco, and you're like, oh, balls, I have come into a bad place that I shouldn't be here. But he's actually fine with you being there. And he accepts the letter, and he finds out about the political intrigue, and then tells you fine. From there, you can either just leave, and then you basically never talk to him again, or you can choose to do quests for him. And if you do that, you get in his good graces, and eventually you don't join the worm cult, you just sort of act as an agent for it.
You just do chores for them. You're doing volunteer.
Yes. And then at the end of the game, you get access to the magical MacGuffin. And then at that point, depending on all the people that you've talked to regarding this, you can choose to give it to him. Hilariously, the choice to give it to Mannimarco is outright pointed by him as a bad idea. Because a lot of the other factions will like do good things with it, like help free Daggerfall from tyranny or help put the Underking to rest and like all these other things. Mannimarco just outright tells you, I'm just going to use this for selfish gain. Are you sure you want to give this to me? And yeah, you do. And then if you do so, he uses it and becomes a god.
Well, at least he's cognizant,
Well, funny thing.
At least he knows what he's doing. He's not trying to delude anybody or himself.
Exactly. Well, funny thing. If it's not just he becomes a god, it becomes a planet. Which is a weird note.
Oh
yeah, because he becomes the the shade of the Revenant.
Yes, the Necromancer's moon. And so moving on from Daggerfall, the reason why Mannimarco is even a thing past this game is because of Dragon Breaks. Now, I don't know how familiar all of you are with Dragon Breaks, but to really simplify it, it's essentially a way inside of the lore to retcon endings. Basically, a big event happens. The possibilities of that big ending are vast and far. Akatosh, the god of time, gets upset at this. Time breaks briefly. And then Akatosh attempts to put it back together and create some kind of semblance of a standard timeline. And in that timeline, all events that could happen did happen. Now, in the universe, this event during Daggerfall is called the Warp in the West. And so for, I think, I can't remember if it's one day or multiple days, but a period of time, the people of Daggerfall have just forgotten what happened. It's all collectively wiped out from their memory, and no one really knows what happened. But after that, every ending of Daggerfall actually happened. So Daggerfall got freed from tyranny, Underking got put from his rest, all that jazz. But alongside that, all the possibilities that didn't happen also happened. So, despite Daggerfall being released from tyranny, there are still the invading army around, and the Underking is still a thing which you encounter in Oblivion. So, yeah. Mannimarco is an interesting case because he did indeed become a god and became the Necromancer's Moon, but he also didn't become a god and stayed as a standard lich.
Lazy writing.
It's not even lazy writing, it's just an attempt to try and make all of the endings canon, which is a terrible idea.
No,
But
Have your
it
cake
did.
and eat it too.
that's like they could. Was that even Kirkbride's decision?
I don't know, honestly.
That seems like a Todd thing. That
Mm.
feels like a Todd thing.
It's
Well,
really
Todd
weird.
came on at Morrowind. He wasn't beforehand, so I'm really
Oh.
not sure.
Also, there was a time before there wasn't a single storyline picked for each sequel to be the meta or to be the actual canon.
Well, that's the thing. Most Elder Scrolls games have things that relate to all of the previous games, and all of their possibilities are still a thing. So, for example, in Oblivion, the ending of Oblivion happened. You know, you stop the gates, Martin Septim dies, and all that jazz. But also in that timeline, the protagonist becomes Sheogorath. That in itself is a weird oxymoron, but it did happen, and so they are both there. That's why dragon breaks aren't just a singular thing; they are technically a thing that has happened multiple times, and it's all because they want to retcon endings into being a thing.
That's weird.
I've never heard of this dragon breaks before.
Yeah, look up the Warp in the West if you're more interested in finding out more about that, because it's even written about in game because it's a very weird occurrence.
And it happened. They use the Numidium essentially.
Yes.
All
comes back to the doors. It all comes back to the doors. For your knowledge side, Hammer, the Numidium is a giant robot made by the dwarves that they originally used to try and become a god, and it didn't really work.
The thing that blinked them out of existence.
Yes, that's correct.
They used the heart of Lorkhan in order to power it.
Yeah. So basically, it's the thing that everyone wanted at the time. And it's the thing that created the Empire, because Tiber Septim, who eventually became Talos, used it as a peace bargaining chip thing with the Tribunal of Morrowind. They basically said, if you give us independence, we'll give you this giant robot. And he's like, sure, cool beans. He then invaded the High Elves' homeland and crushed them beneath his mighty shoe, and then basically forced them to submit to becoming part of the Empire. Always a fun.
They are kind of assholes.
Yeah, they are kind of assholes. Anyway,
at least in Skyrim, because I only play Skyrim, so I'm scripted.
That's when it then comes back to Mannimarco. So, for an origin story of who he is and why he's important to necromancy, he is not the creator of necromancy. He is the distributor of necromancy. So he was originally a high elf who was part of the high elf nobility back on the Somerset Isles, and he was one of the big magic elves that were partnered with the Sigic Order, the dudes you meet in Skyrim who are helping you in the College of Winterhold questline.
Oh, they're those dudes.
Yes, they're they're a secretive cult that do magic shit and mess with time. Elder Scrolls.
They showed up and took the thing away after the end, right?
That's correct. Yes, Elder Scrolls Online developed them a bit more, but basically they are like they're people who know far more about the world than literally anyone else because they literally mess with time.
There's a TVA.
I don't like.
There's
I
a
don't
TVA.
really call me a Puritan, but like I don't really consider ESO lore to be technically canon. This may be you can call me out if you want, but it's because they're a different company made them, and I don't think that a lot of them really even read a lot of the lore from the original, or even really played a lot of the original games. So like that game, like ESO is just money. It's just that's what they use to print money. Same with the card game. You know, it's like this is divorced from the lore. This is just thing for fan service to me. So
I like some of the lore in ESO. I mean, it is canon, so I'd quite like it, and I like that they're able to go into lesser known places and explore them a bit better and explore their lore. For example, things like the Somerset Isles, which we've never been to before.
oh yeah, that's cool.
I heard it was kind of like there's like a hard canon was the main series games, and kind of a softer canon for ESO. I don't know sure where I heard that, but
no, it's all the same canon because it's all being utilized for the same universe. There's new things being brought up in ESO which were never mentioned before, which is questionable. But it's all there, and I to be honest, I quite like the stuff that they put in ESO. But I mean,
it's supposed to take place during like the first era, right?
I think that's correct. It's either the first or the second. I can't remember.
The second era is when Daggerfall takes place.
Yeah, I think actually it might possibly be second era before where Daggerfall's set, but I honestly can't remember. Anyway, so Mannimarco is forced by his family to go join the Sijic Order alongside another high elf who you may know as Vanis Galarian, the creator of the Mages Guild. So they did their things in the Sijic Order and, you know, messed with time, learned about magic, all that jazz. Vanis, good student. Mannimarco, on the other hand, he's an inherently selfish character. There's no better way to put it. He's not that great of a character to discuss because essentially he's just villain 101. He's a selfish guy. He wanted to use magic in order to do things for himself, and because of that, he's just an evil dude. So, of course, he naturally is interested in the idea of necromancy. But the Sijic Order banned it. It's bad. You can't do that. But he did.
No, you can't play with dead bodies. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Wait.
That's usually how the conversation I would think would be like, he's the one biology student that just went too far. He's like, I just want to know what they do. If I shock a frog's legs, they move. If I shock a person, what happens? No, you can't do that. No, that is immoral. But
so wait,
no.
wait a second. It's immoral to like grab a dead soul, put it in a body, and make it dance around and do stuff. But it's not immoral to like siphon people's souls out and put them in gems and power your spells that way. What the hell?
But there's a difference between the souls of animals and the souls of humans, because in the games you can only put human souls in black soul gems, which they also ban.
Yes,
you can put any animal, any creature, you know, is
I forgot
considered
that,
white
actually.
souls. They can fit in soul gems.
Which is a brilliant segue into explaining what got Mannimarco banned and thrown out of the Sijic Order.
Wow, it's almost like I knew what we were talking about. Except I totally didn't.
He created the idea of black soul gems. Before him, black soul gems weren't a thing. He worked with another member of the Sijic Order and fellow necromancer called Vastari. She is also a lich, and uniquely, she is also like Mannimarco, not a skeletal or decrepit-looking lich. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. The hot
Harry Potter, effectively. If Mannimarco's Harry Potter, she's Hermione, effectively.
And basically, they work together in order to look into the idea of souls and soul manipulation, which was banned by the Sijic Order, but hey ho. Now, Vastari is, shockingly enough, and get ready to hear this, a good person.
A good necromancer in the
Awesome.
Elder Scrolls. Shocking to
That's
hear.
cool.
She is a good lich, one of the only good liches in the Elder Scrolls, because she is actually pledged herself to Azura now and is a generally nice person.
I love
so
subversions like that.
yes, so basically, her whole thing was that she wanted to learn how to utilize souls in order to better understand them, and most importantly, use them to help prolong people's lives. Not in a, live forever necromancy lich type of way, just basically as a way to help enhance people's lives. And that's where the idea of looking into souls and that manipulation of such came from, because she's like, oh, that's an interesting thing. I could do well with that. You are interested in that as well. Let's do it. So they'd work together, and eventually they came up with the idea of black soul gems. She then decided that would be an interesting thing to look into and possibly utilize the research in order to help people. Mannimarco, on the other hand, saw evil dollar signs in his eyes and went, no, I could use this to take over the world!
Capitalism!
And so, he got found out by Vanis and got kicked out. And then Vanis got kicked out, and I can't remember why. So, here's the interesting point. Mannimarco is most likely the reason why any of the characters you play as can use magic. And that's because before Mannimarco left the Sigil Order, magic was inherently banned from the commoners learning. No one was able to learn magic unless they were part of high nobility or part of the Sigil Order. This was in all parts of Tamriel, not just the High Elves, Somerset Isles.
So he's a
To be
great
honest,
guy.
that's kind of that's probably how power would coalesce around people. Thinking about it.
Yeah,
they would try to limit their access to limitless power, to only a select few they could find.
Yes. So what happened was basically the Sigil Order outright told people, we can't give this to every person because if we allow anyone to learn magic, it will have dire consequences because of the power that magic has. Now, I could agree with them on that hand because they are the Sigil Order and can see the future. And they're shockingly, if you look into books, there is a future in the Elder Scrolls universe which is apocalyptic.
No. They don't get to play that idea. If there's multiple timelines in every instance, then they don't get to say that just because one turned out to be apocalyptic, that all their other ones, that no one should be able to do it. That's
well,
bullshit.
it's not even that one timeline is; it's that all of them are, and there is a reason why that is. I'll maybe explain that later on because it's not relevant to the discussion right now. But anyway, so Mannimarco left, was kicked out, and basically he went around and realized that he could gain followers if they learned from him how to do magic. So he went to less reputable places, bandits, alchemists with questionable morals, and criminals in general. And he decided to teach them magic. And by doing
They're
that,
disenfranchised.
yes,
They're
they're
disenfranchised.
disenfranchised.
It's like, screw you, I'm gonna
He's
make
a man
my
of the
own,
people.
mage's
Yes.
guild with blackjack and hookers.
Yes.
He's a man of the people.
And by doing that, they all learned magic. They then passed that magical knowledge onto other people, and it spread from there. Now, his counterpart, Vanis Galarian, he then created the Mages Guild, who sought to provide magic knowledge for everyone as well. But that was an institutionalized thing, so you had to be part of the Mages Guild to learn magic, etc., etc. But because of Mannimarco, a lot of commoners knew how to do magic. And that's a double-sided sword, because on one hand, great, let people be educated, good. On the other hand, he was teaching criminals, so now the bandit that you're fighting could burn your house down with just his mind. So, swings and roundabouts. Anyway.
It's classism, man.
Yeah,
Yes.
accessibility. Yeah.
However,
people don't turn to banditism. People don't turn to banditry if they have some food to eat, man. Just provide for the fucking people.
Mm-hmm. However, don't take this as an idea that Mannimarco is being charitable. He wasn't. He's a terrible person. And
No,
this
I was
is
just fucking with you.
the reason why he does this is because he wanted to build up a cult. And he did. The cult of
Did
the
he
worm.
want to become a god the entire time?
Well, that's what I'm about to get on to.
Ah,
So, he wanted to build up followers because he had an idea. He wanted to live forever. And that was difficult because high elves live long times, but they're not immortal.
Nope.
So, he decided he'd come up with some kind of knowledge because during his time in the Sijic Order, along with his soul manipulating, he learned how to manipulate his own soul. This then led him to realize that technically he could just take it out of his body and put it somewhere else. Interesting idea. And this is why his friend Vistari also chose to leave with him to do this studying of immortality with him. Eventually, she realized what a bastard he was and left him and went off on her own little journey.
Yeah, yeah.
But not before Mannimarco decided to do an interesting process. He basically built up a large enough following. He then went to a cave. I can't remember where it was, but he went to a cave. He then stayed in that cave for a long time. I believe it was either a week or 2 weeks. During that time, he had his followers look after him and not allow anyone to see him. And he went through a very interesting process in which he took various alchemical herbs and different concoctions and went through a strange process. This then became the modern process of lichdom in the Elder Scrolls. Now, there is one unique difference, and that is the fact that Mannimarco's form of lichdom is entirely wholly unique, that is shared only with his partner Vistari. And that is, they were able to fully retain their appearance, even after lichdom.
to stay hot, people. To stay hot, liches.
They are, no, not even half liches. They're full-on liches. They physically can't
Hot.
die.
H-O-T.
Ah, hot, yes. So, because of that, they have the unique distinction of being, we'll call it a perfect, in inverted commas, lich. So they are able to walk
That's
among
fair.
the people, maintain complete control of their own body, and yet they are capable of immortality. Now, this is also conflicting because the Elder Scrolls lore is that they don't, unlike other liches, they don't have like a phylactery or something. They're a bit shittier than most because if they die, they just die. They don't get the regeneration capabilities, which is weird. I don't know why, but that's how it distinctively is different. They just gain immortality.
And man, that's the breaks if you want to keep your hotness.
However, this then gave Mannimarco a notion. Basically, he realized that if he was to die, things would be very bad because he just wants to live forever and wants ultimate power. So he was going to get involved in something. But before that, his old friend, Vanus Galarian, came to him and told him to stop being evil, and he said no. So they had a big war, mages versus undead, the cult of the worm versus the mages guild. Big battle ensued. Ultimately, the mages guild ended up winning. However, Vanus Galarian lost. Mannimarco killed him because he was an inherently better mage, just because of his relentless pursuit for power and the fact he was a lich at this point. And because of that, he was able to live, but he realized that despite all of this, his cult was not enough. So, he made a deal. And he made a deal with a certain entity. And if you have an idea of what I'm talking about, you probably know where I'm going with this.
Molag Bal.
This is where the Elder Scrolls Online comes into things.
Uh-huh.
He made a deal with Molag Bal, Daedric Prince of Domination, and awful things. He said to him, hey, I'll be your servant. and I'll help you control Tamriel if you let me get lots of power and stuff. And he did. So he went through a very clever process, actually. He offered his services to, at the time, the fractured Empire of Man. Basically, they were fighting internally, trying to figure out how to, who's emperor, all that jazz. I can't actually remember who was emperor at this point or before that hand. But anyway, so he offered his services to them in a very strange choice why they would take this deal. But anyway, the services were he would help the army by resurrecting dead soldiers to continue fighting even if they die. And by doing that, he was able to maintain a fairly prominent position in the empire. In fact, going so far as to be involved in the raising of a brand new emperor.
See, this is why every army needs a necromancer.
You'd think. So he worked with this new emperor by helping him basically realize that because he wasn't part of the original bloodline that helped form the empire because of the amulet of kings and all that jazz, he wasn't recognized by the gods as a true emperor, and he felt bad about this. Now, Mannimarco claimed to him that he could help him with that there was a process they could do which would let him be recognized by the gods. So, great, I'll do it. Turns out Mannimarco was lying and betrayed him at the very last moment. So, took the Amulet of Kings, used the power of it, and did what's called the Soul Burst, which is basically a giant, big thing that allowed Molag Bal to send in giant war machines called anchors into the world of Tamriel and try to quite literally, physically use the anchors to rip up parts of the land and bring them into his world.
Wait, are those the big ringy things in the sky with the chains?
Yes,
from the
that's
awesome
correct.
cinematics?
Yeah,
Because
that's correct.
I love those cinematics so much.
Yes. So yeah, basically those are Molag Bal's war machines. Because it's funny thing about Molag Bal, he's a weird sort because he just wants everything. He's like an obsessive fan who gets everything to do with a topic. Like gets all of the merchandise, gets all of the secret information, finds out the schedules of all of the actors or whatever that was working on a project so he can look at them. Because
we're all nerds. I'm sure we all know someone like that.
Because he's a freak. That's basically what Molag Bal is, except his obsession is Tamriel. He wants it. He needs it. His entire Daedric plane is a copy of Tamriel.
So weird.
Yeah, he's got an obsession with it. So the point is, for the anchors, he wanted to literally pull Tamriel into his world so he could have it. So he could make them together. It's called the plane merge. He basically wanted to combine them together so that he could have Tamriel as his own. So Mannimarco said he'd help with this. In return, he gets power and ultimately Shockingly, because you never trust this motherfucker, he was planning on betraying Molag Bal and instead doing a weird process in which he would kill Molag Bal and take his place as the Daedric Prince of Domination.
Wow.
That is called mantling and is a thing that's possible because that's what the player character in Oblivion did to Sheogorath.
Nice.
Anyway, that doesn't work. He gets found out and he's tortured in Cold Harbor for a long time, and then eventually he escapes. This is when he then comes in Daggerfall. As I said, is powerful, wants to become a god because this dude can't seemingly take a failure for an answer. And basically, that's when then the Dragon Break happens, and he becomes a god. So technically, he succeeds in his goal. He does indeed become a god, but he also doesn't because of retcon reasons. Now, a Morrowind we can skip over. He's not in Morrowind. Doesn't matter. Oblivion. This is where things get funny.
Wait, he doesn't show up in Morrowind, the place about the High Elves?
Dark
The-
Elves.
That's the
Morrowind
Dark
was about
Elves.
the High Elves.
Oh,
It was
I'm
about the-
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I told you I was a scrub.
He's a Skyrim baby. Let him be.
A lot of angry people are looking at you now.
Anyway,
So there's several screaming Dunmer in the comments right now.
They're all Mer.
Oh me. Right, Sidehammer. How familiar are you with Oblivion?
It happened.
It happened. Okay, good to know.
Patrick Stewart. Patrick
Stewart. Yes.
In a prison. It starts like that, and I heard it has an awesome magic system. That's about it.
So, in Oblivion, as part of the Mages Guild quest line, if you go down it, you have to contend with the Worm Cult, who proclaim that Mannimarco has returned and he's going to kill you all. Now, keep in mind, this is because this is like a 200-year gap after Daggerfall.
Yeah.
So it's big time. And Mannimarco is able to terrify people because the mere mention of his name sends the entire Mages Guild into meltdown because the whole council starts blaming each other, saying, oh, what we're going to do, etc., etc. This is bad news. Everyone's scared. So, you go in and you help the Archmage do a bunch of things, and then the Archmage is like, yo, cool, I'm going to help you fight Mannimarco. I'm going to kill myself by. He kills himself. And he basically gives himself as a stone to give to you so that you don't immediately become enthralled by Mannimarco. He
traps himself into the giant black soul gem.
Yep. And that somehow stops you from becoming enthralled for reasons. Anyway, then you fight Mannimarco. And here's where things get interesting. Mannimarco in this game is a weedy little high elf dude.
He's so weak.
He's so pathetic.
They spend all this time building him up, and then you finally go in and fight him, and he's pathetic.
He literally speaks like a crappy Skeletor, coming in and going, "Oh, I see you've arrived. I'm going to enthrall you."
I don't know what the voice. He's using just the standard voice, the standard high elf voice actor or the elf voice actor is just using his normal voice, but he's adding a weird accent to it. He's like trying to do probably the most pathetic sad version of Peter Lorre I've ever seen. Like,
it's bizarre choice for it.
I want to hire somebody else to go in there and please go in, fix it, please. Somebody go in and give it better dialogue, please.
I love the elves in that game. They're so funny. Go away.
They're so ridiculous.
It's
at the risk of Elder Scroll nerd rage, is it possible that his diminished appearance is due to him being a very new god and his avatar sucks?
No.
Well, so
that's just it. He's not, and the one you face in Oblivion is not from the timeline of where he becomes a god. Which is during the Dragon Break, the two timelines split and then came back together, becoming both canon. So it's kind of like, the best way I could describe it is it's like the MC. It's one of the DC universe things, like the countdown to the ultimate whatever, where you have multiple Batmans from multiple universes colliding together into one universe, or even like the Spider-Man shit with the multiverse. It's kind of like that. Mannimarco from the one timeline and Mannimarco from the other timeline came into the same timeline. So you're basically fighting against the weakened version of Mannimarco from the timeline where he lost.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. Basically,
we're approaching upon the thing I hate most about long series media, like comics, and they're starting to retcon. I despise the multiple realities. It takes away all consequence and leaves the narrative no weight. And
hey guys,
hack writers, damn it!
This is why I stopped reading comics.
Check
chat. Countdown to Ultimate Crisis. That's what pushed me away.
You guys can hear me, right? Check the chat.
Sorry.
Check the chat.
There's Hawkeye's heroin addiction also.
There's someone calling you out.
Who? Who's calling me out?
Well, now you're going to scream to the comments.
What's happening?
Okay, so Rogue says, or Rogue, You people are missing the point. Mannimarco isn't scary because of his looks or his voice. It's what he does. He'll eat your soul and use your body as a glorified waiter.
Yes, however, you then just kill him. You could literally be
win
like a
first.
level 5 character and you just kill him.
Yeah.
He's a pathetic fight.
It would, yeah, that's exactly the point I'm getting at. Like
That is little narrative dissonance.
like it
Mhm.
wouldn't bother me if he could actually hold up, but the fact that he's all talk in Oblivion. He's all talk and no substance. There's nothing. It's
Mhm.
a nothing sandwich. He's tofu.
Now,
Like,
here's an interesting thing. So obviously, yeah, as you mentioned, this is the Mannimarco that basically he's still a lich technically, but he's not a god. So he's just sort of
It's
wandering
not
about.
my
and stumbling with it.
Mannimarco.
Not my Mannimarco. Now, I'm about to go into conspiracy theory territory, so bear with me. There is a genuine theory, and I actually subscribe to this idea, that this elf you fight is not Mannimarco. It is
Ooh.
Don't write
someone.
the story for them.
It,
Come
it,
on.
it is someone pretending to be Mannimarco and using his name as a way to get followers.
Hmm.
Now, the reason why this is believed to be a thing is that the Mannimarco that we meet in Daggerfall, he is a person who is already in a position that he is fine with the other political powers. Shockingly enough, the cult of the worm is not seen as an inherently evil place. It's just a group of people that exist. So in the high political space of Daggerfall, Mannimarco is there and exists, but people don't really like him, but that's how it is. Oh, hello, Reiner. Uh, however, in Oblivion, the cult of the worm that is being followed is just a bunch of raving lunatics.
yeah.
And because of that, there is a theory. And the theory is essentially that there was a high elf necromancer who wanted to gain power and wanted to take down the Mages Guild because fairly recently at that timeline, the Mages Guild had banned necromancy. This was not a thing beforehand. It was only a very recent thing. This caused a massive split in the Mages Guild that caused a huge chunk of their members to just leave because they're like, this is ridiculous. We're here as an educational institute. You're literally banning us from studying something. That's not what we're here for. We're going to leave. And a bunch of those people joined the worm cult. Now, the theory is one of those people that left decided to get revenge against the Mages Guild by taking on the persona of Mannimarco, using him as a way to corral the people who were upset around this ban, making a second worm cult. And by doing that, it essentially makes it so that he recreates the worm cult without them really being a thing. Because after the end of Daggerfall, the worm cult is never really mentioned. Especially in Morrowind, there's no worm cult members, which is weird. And then they just suddenly pop up 200 years later without anything. It's just odd. And even more bizarrely, this also is taking into account the fact that Mannimarco is absolutely a god in this world because he became a planet, the Necromancer's Moon. And you can pray to the Necromancer's Moon and get a boon. The Necromancer's Moon transforms soul gems into black soul gems. That's a thing. So, by that logic, he exists as a god, and while he also technically exists as a lich, that doesn't make sense as to why the god would allow the lich to be killed so easily. It's a very bizarre choice. So, as I said, the conspiracy theory is that it's just a high elf that has taken his name, taken his identity, and people don't really remember who Mannimarco was. They remember Mannimarco as the terrifying threat. So they don't know. And none of the old Mage Guild members know because they just know as Mannimarco's this terrifying individual. They've never personally met him. So no one knows.
I appreciate headcanon and copium and stuff, but come on, man. You can't write the story for him. I mean,
No.
it's ultimately from bad writing, and then people are co-opting it to make a better story, and it's understandable.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was summoned here because I felt a disturbance in the force, and I felt. Hold on, we're talking about Mannimarco. He's a twink. He's a.
It turned him into a twink.
He's a no. Like, even in ESO, he's a twink. Like, to go through the main story.
He is so canon, though. That's one of the reasons why, like,
Go
because
through
he
the main.
wasn't a twink in Daggerfall. He was just an ugly boy. That's what he was. He was an ugly kind of elfish thing that no one ever saw the face of, but he was just a little edgy boy. That's all he was.
He's an
Maybe he
edgy
was
boy.
wearing makeup. Maybe he was wearing makeup.
Yes. But you never saw his face in Daggerfall. I just don't like the fact that they turned him into this pretty twinky sort of thingy.
Hot lit.
He looks like you know what? He looks like Sephiroth. That's why I don't like.
Yes, that is a very apt description. He's Elf Sephiroth.
He's Elfaroth.
It's just ESO's Sauron. I mean, come on.
What do you guys?
I'm taking that as a name
Sauron
now.
didn't look pretty. Like,
Yes, he did. Sauron was a very fair person. And
What
he
do you
came to them. Yeah, he came to the races of men as a gorgeous angelic beauty, and deceived all the hell out of them. And then only after he was destroyed in the first War of the Rings that he loses ability to take a pretty form.
What do you guys think of the idea of him being a pawn of the Ideal Masters? Because chat raised that question.
I don't.
Someone's gonna have to explain what that is.
I don't think so. I think he might. I don't think there. I have a possibility, and this could be headcanon, that he may have made some dealings with the Ideal Masters, but managed to outthink them. That's the feeling that I get, that he would be the kind of one to double cross the Ideal Masters.
Okay.
The Ideal Masters are all about double crossing.
In a paragraph, someone explain the Ideal Masters in one paragraph.
Okay. Can I try it in one paragraph?
Go.
They're living soul gems.
In one paragraph, Dommy Mommy soul gems with a huge dom fetish that live in the edgy realm where all of the goths live. And they like to do a bunch of fucky wucky shit. That's all they do.
Okay, 2 paragraphs. Can somebody explain?
They were necromancers who decided one day to say, let's give ourselves some plot powers, LMAO, and create a new plane of oblivion, and then turn themselves into gems and lord it over them.
They're the guys on the Minecraft server. They give themselves their own dimension to play in, and then they get very edgy about it.
Yep, that's a pretty good description. For some reason, it's never explained how they did this, but they just became gods somehow. Very strange
that's actually cool. I didn't realize they were necromancers.
Cool. I want to put a proposal in. I want to, what if, and hear me out, what if Mannimarco achieved Chim?
That's debatable.
Then he would be Chimmy Boy. He would be Chimmy Marco.
Chimmy Marco.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Chim is the thing where you lose your body and you become like a god in truth or something.
Chim is realizing that the Elder Scrolls world is not real and you aren't real, and deciding, no, I am real.
That's right.
I would say no. Also, first, for the people asking about the Ideal Masters thing, there's no evidence that Mannimarco has ever dealt with the Ideal Masters, so I don't think so. Also, I mean, come on, this dude's got an ego the size of a fucking moon. He ain't gonna be doing anything.
He was going to at one point, but he said it wasn't ideal.
No, he just reject their ideals and substitute as his own.
In regards to him achieving Chim, no, because he still works by the logic and mechanics of the world, because he became a god, and that technically is still working within the Dreamer's mechanics. If he achieved Chim, he would realize he didn't need to become a god because he technically wasn't real. That's what I would say.
And was one already, because he could realize that.
Yes, exactly.
I will say, like, did anybody see his final fate in the main campaign for ESO? Like, what happened to him?
Oh, he got like tortured in
Yeah.
this. He got like put into a fucking torture chamber. It was just put in there.
So he wanted to betray Moloch Ball and become a god himself, but Moloch Ball was like, "Oi, you little elven twink! That's not how this fucking works, in it, lads!" And just fucking grabbed him, twatted him a bit, and dragged him down into the carnal depths. And then when you find him later on in Cold Harbor with a big black muscle daddy, a big woman giantess, Dommy Mommy, and the guy who actually fucking started all of it, along with an arrogant prick who nobody really likes, but they also do. So you find him literally strapped to a table. He's got people whipping him. So you kill them, you chat to him. And pretty much it's like, okay, so you could free him, or we could leave him. What do we do? But also, it's a very bad idea if you let him go. Yeah, it's a very bad idea if you let... And then Mannimarco is literally looking at you like, yeah, it's a very bad idea if you let me go. So if you let him go, he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to fuck off. I'm going to teleport away now. My people need me. By the way, what you just did was a very terrible thing. Fuck you. And then he just disappears. And everyone else is like, why did you do that?
I'm just wondering when twatted became a verb.
Wait, so, like, does Mannimarco seems to self-sabotage in the weirdest way?
He's like Thanquol in C.
He's like, what?
Thanquol, it's a Skaven from Warhammer who keeps sabotaging himself in hilarious ways.
Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do this. I'm a bad person. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, is he like using reverse psychology or just like? Yeah.
No, it's like no vestige. Don't scramble this high elven fucking chimussy. Whatever you do. Wink,
Sounds
wink,
like the writers are trying to tell you this was not the correct choice.
Honestly, but like fucking. Oh man, when the I'm still thinking about that mod update I want to do for Undeath that also includes like the recreation of the Black Worm cult, or the cult of the Black Worm. And like the end quest, like I'm actually very surprised at my own writing for that. You know, not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but yeah.
I didn't know this was a self-promotion stream.
It's just
Wait, there's a difference between the worm cult and the black worm cult?
Aren't they? They're technically the same thing.
They're technically the same thing.
Yeah, it's technicality.
Just asking.
So, you know how I mentioned earlier about an apocalyptic future when mentioning the Sijic Order? As a fun bonus, would you like me to tell you about it?
Let's hear it.
Let it rip. But only if you do it in your necromancer voice. I'm kidding.
So pre-warning.
Here we go. No, just do it in the Glaswegian voice. Like that's the same thing.
So pre-warning. This one's going to be really weird. So if you want to... This is Michael Kirkbride we're talking about. So if you want to learn more about Michael Kirkbride, just look at your nearest dealer and go, aye, he's a real weirdo. So
it doesn't sound Glaswegian enough. Where's the heroin?
It is exactly.
Also,
so yes, this is technically non-canon, but it is written by the person who wrote most of the lore to the Elder Scrolls. So it is essentially very plausible fan fiction. We'll go with that.
Canon adjacent.
Canon adjacent. So you know how I mentioned there was you know that we mentioned earlier about the dwarves and a giant robot called the Numidium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, funny thing, when Tiber Septim took that Numidium to, you know, take out the High Elves and basically force them to, like, submit to him and become part of the Empire.
That sounds a bit suspicious there, like, submit to me, boys.
Oh, yeah, he basically was like that. Yeah, that's pretty much him. Funny thing, this Numidium is never used again, and is never mentioned again, which is odd. In Morrowind, there's a second Numidium, which is just built, but the first one is never mentioned after this. Now, according to this, so this is an event called Landfall. Bear with me, things about to go a bit crazy.
Oh no.
So when Tiber Septim attacked the Somerset Isles with the Numidium, the High Elves knew they were doomed. They knew there was no way they could beat this. They have to surrender, so they did. But they also did not want this crazy human having a giant robot that was bigger than, every other building around, because it could just out effortlessly kill everyone.
As you do.
So they decided to ask the Psijic Order for help. And the Psijic Order gave them an ability to essentially do what happened in the events of Skyrim to Alduin, where they used magical bullshit to teleport the Numidium into the future. And by doing this, they get rid of it from their timeline and basically go, it's the future's problem now.
Oh,
Bunch of bitches.
kind of like
So-
global warming.
Is this a metaphor for
Yeah.
real life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I getting fucking just Skyrim main story plot lines here for what they did with fucking the with fucking Alduin?
Well,
Like,
Skyrim pilled and Nord
We'll
celled.
make it the future's problem.
yeah, that's essentially what happened. However, so here's where fun things start happening.
Oh
One
no.
sec. Didn't the thing that sent Alduin into the future, wasn't that like literally an Elder Scroll?
That was an Elder Scroll, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. And they couldn't beat the guy with an Elder
Elder
Scroll.
Scrolls are just the weird plot. They're plot contrivance.
Plot contrivance, yes, that's pretty much all they are.
This is our
Oh,
MacGuffin.
okay.
This is the series MacGuffin that everything is named after. They're
You
they
think
can
with
do
an
anything.
Elder Scroll they
Do
could
all
fight
sorts of
back
shit
the
with an
Emperor?
Elder Scroll,
Well,
and they're
see.
indestructible.
See, here's the thing. The Elder Scrolls are bizarre because sometimes they do things and sometimes they don't. Hell, there is text for turning Elder Scrolls into a suit of armor, which is
What?
insane, but...
I want the
Yeah.
aesthetic for that. I want fan art of that. Like, imagine how that would look. Like, I'm just picturing a guy with like golden armor just covered in scriptures and litanies of words that when people look at it, they fucking eyes explode and their heads like fucking combust. Like,
That does sound
alright,
awesome.
it's like, oh mate, you mind having a look at me breastplate?
So, here's where fun things happen.
Oh boy.
So, as mentioned, yes, the Numidium is thrown into the future. Talos no longer has his big stompy robot. He dies as a normal emperor. In the far future, I need to put on, like, the sci-fi voice. In the far future, after the 5th era of mortal kind, one day, randomly, the Numidium turns up again. And the Numidium turns up again, get this, and then continues its war against the elves.
Oh, great.
So the robot goes. The robot.
Wait. Is the Numidian the gay robot that time travels, or is that a different one?
No, that's the
There's two?
No, that's
Oh wait, no, that's the gay cyborg that time travels, isn't it?
that's the cyborg. Oh God, what's his name? Knights of the Nine, dude. Yeah, that's
Irrelevant.
him.
Colonel Whitestripe, you mean?
That's it. That's it.
Here, I
thought
was
he was
getting
kidding.
lost here. Like, wait, where the hell did gay robot come from? And then like wait.
Eleanor Whitestring, literally Elder Scrolls Terminator. What a bizarre dude. Anyway.
Actually, he's more like Doom guy.
Well, no, because he's literally a robot. That's what's bizarre.
Okay,
There's a difference between Terminator and Doom Guy. Doom Guy don't lose.
Oh,
Terminator loses all the time.
Yes.
I honestly want to see a spin-off game of just Penino Whitestripe though. Like, I would actually play that.
I mean, that would just be like that would be Goblin Slayer the game.
Only instead of goblins itself, but like,
Yes.
but honestly,
Rook says Talos lost his Gundam and died of cringe.
So, back to the story. So the Numidium comes back. Now the Numidium's out of control because its original totem holder, Talos, is dead and is a god now, so they can't control it. So it continues its war against the High Elves. Now, keep in mind, this is what is ostensibly a medieval style culture fighting against a robot that is literally taller than skyscrapers. There's no way they can win against this thing.
That's not a Gundam. That's Big O.
Yes. And even worse than that, not only is the Numidium, giant and made of metal and thus cannot be harmed by most things, it's also got bullshit magic powers. For example, guess this, the Ancestro Scythe. Are you ready for this, children? The Ancestro Scythe ability, which it uses to erase the High Elves from existence.
Oh,
It does what it did to the dwarves and just Thanos snaps them out of existence.
Well, shit, you can't fight against that, can you?
No. So they don't fight against it. Here's what they do.
They send it into the future.
I feel like I'm a rambling prophet, like an actual insane person, but please bear with me. And
You're one of those guys who visits Apocrypha for like 5 minutes and then you come back speaking of like this.
The knowledge.
Just speaking in tongues.
Please listen to me. I am not joking.
Monster.
I am not kidding. This is all written. So, the other races of Tamriel know that they are fucked. So they're like, what do we do? How do we beat this? I know. Let's go to the moon. So...
Oh yeah. Is that where the Khajiit drug fucking Zumi chips come in, where they go to the moon?
Yes. So the Khajiit, who are inherently linked to the moons, come up with the idea that they should all escape to Masser. I think it's Masser, one of the two moons, because that's the safe place that they could be safe. So
I am so confused.
So
good, that means you've been paying attention.
They make a deal with the Hist, the trees that control the Argonian people, to turn them into rocket ships to fly to the moon and escape Tamriel.
Is this canon?
Fly me to the moon. Let me play amongst the stars.
And then they create a new civilization on the moon. And this is where the story that is written takes place. It's them trying to think of a way to stop the Numidium from their space colony on the moon.
Are we still in canon, or are we?
Because this is Elder Scrolls. Because this is Elder Scrolls. How high can we assume the writers were when they did this?
Michael Kirkbride was no doubt out of his mind completely. I also forgot to mention a very important point. When the Numidium is fighting them, and just before everyone realizes all hope is lost, in rides the Nerevar, the guy from Morrowind, the main character, the manifestation of the Nerevarine. No, Nerevarine is the manifestation of Nerevar. And he tries to fight the Numidium with anime bullshit sword powers. literally riding on like a flying horse, attempting to kill it with a giant sword, and it fails.
Bummer. The Dragonborn could have done better.
Wait, no, I'm wrong. Ignore me. It wasn't a horse. It was the second Numidium that was made by Dagoffer. They have a literal giant robot battle.
This feels like the end of Escaflowne, where nothing makes sense.
And
what the fuck is an Escaflowne?
Escaflowne was a medieval Gundam series that it was also
anime.
What I personally see is the very first isekai I ever watched.
Right. Okay.
Digimon was my first.
So, after this, they realize that there is no way they can stop the Numidium because it's like a robot out of control. All it wants to do is destroy because that's what it's programmed to do. So it does that, it destroys the world, and after it's done that, it de-manifests itself because of magic bullshit, and it's done its purpose. So then, the Khajiit and the Argonians, and I don't know if there's any others, there might be more other races, I literally can't remember, they travel back from the moon, back to the destroyed world, and they restart the timeline of the Elder Scrolls again by basically putting themselves in a cycle of now they're back on Tamriel, and it's the Khajiit and the Argonians that live there, and the other races will eventually turn up. And that's the story of Landfall.
So that's where the Argonians and the Khajiit came from.
Yes, that's the thing. The term for the entire collection of this is a graphic novel called C0DA. That's what it's called, and that's what you can read if you're interested in finding out about this.
I might check it out. Like that is.
I think I'm good.
Wild. I hope it gets adapted into an anime or something.
Oh, also, I forgot to mention, there is on this moon base, there's the main character is like a dark elf, random person, and he marries Vivek because Vivek's also there.
Oh my god.
Vivek is weird, but Vivek just does. He just does.
This is so absurd.
He's a god with ADHD.
I think that's the best way to describe him, yeah.
Yes. Oh, also, Akatosh appears and eats his own tail.
I can't take this anymore. He just has a fucking mental breakdown. He's like one of those one of those A student chicks who's also part of like the fucking cheerleading teams. Like, I can't take this anymore. Starts eating her own hair. In this case, it's Akatosh eating his own tail. Like, fuck, I can't take this, man.
Anyway, yeah, that's my fun little bonus. I hope you all enjoyed learning about the tree rockets going to the moon.
Now I've got one final
we didn't
request.
Just jump the sharks.
One final request.
For everybody watching,
and we jumped the sloats.
For everybody watching this, keep in mind that no, the video hasn't changed. We're still on the Mannimarco video.
Yeah, I got one final request to wrap up the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want the whole history of Tamriel from the perspective of a chav. In chav voice. From Reiner.
Oh god, I don't know the full history of Tamriel. It's like
What about Mannimarco?
Didn't we just establish that it was a circle? We'd be going forever.
Do what you think is the history of Tamriel.
Okay.
What I want to hear.
For this,
I hear this. It's either
oh god, I'm gonna be so fucking shit voicing this. Oh fuck, I'm gonna fuck this up. So like people are gonna watch, they're gonna think, oh, this is cringe, mate.
We're already past the point of cringe. You can't be any cringer than this. I'm already here.
Yeah, that's fair.
We have jumped the shark of cringe.
Alright, yeah. So basically, fucking ships, right? They got fucking math in them, yeah. Fucking, you know, like fucking ones and twos, right? Fucking fire them at each other, don't they? They're fucking cunts. Fucking coming, fucking in, yeah. Fucking shanking each other with fucking math. Fucking slap themselves down, the fucking cunts. Pay no fucking street road fucking tax, don't they? Fucking twats. Come over here to fucking Tamriel. Fucking plunk themselves down, become two fucking towers, and a bunch of fucking shit happens with fucking eye elves. Fucking eye elf. Have I fucking seen a fucking eye elf? I want to fucking smash the cunt's fucking face in. Right? Like the fucking go around, right? The fucking gold skinned cunts, yeah? The fucking come over here to fucking Eye Rock, fucking bring their fucking spells and shit. I'm fucking minding my own business, shagging me fucking sisters you're doing fucking Eye Rock. And then they fucking shag all us lot, but they give us fucking magic, right? So I'm not racist, I just don't like them. Right. So you know Baz, yeah, like Baz down fucking road, right? Yeah, Baz got fucking magic now, and he fucking got fucking lightning coming out his fucking dick hole, innit? So fucking chilling out, right? Fucking chilling out with them fucking Nord twats across fucking eastward, right? I don't Nord's right, yeah, Nord's right. My best mate's a Nord. Not racist. I just don't want to talk to him. So fighting Nords right over at fucking East End. They fucking come over here. They bring their fucking mead and they bring their fucking Akavir and they bring their fucking Isgrimor. I don't even know how to fucking say Isgrimor. It's like fucking brings this big fucking nose. Wouldn't even let me fucking hold it. The fucking right dodgy bastard, innit? Fucking want to fucking shank the cunt. So fucking comes over here. Now fucking he's alright, isn't he? He's proper sound lad, he is Isgrimor. Fucking kills all elves, doesn't he? He got all elves gone. Fucking does all that shit. Thing is though, them fucking knows they got the fucking voice, innit? I don't fucking know how it works. They got like that weird fucking language speak. It's a bit too many words, isn't it? Like you fucking say a word, it's a fucking word. If I fucking say fuck off in fucking dragon speak, if I fucking say fuck off in fucking dragon speak, it's gonna fucking yeet the cunt over into fucking Hammerfell, innit? Oh, fucking Hammerfell. Fucking Hammerfell is fucking too fucking up there, innit? I've got no fucking clue where fucking Hammerfell fucking came from. Like, there's some cunt fucking throw hammer and it fucking fell and they fucking went, yeah, mate, fucking this proper good place to set up in. It got fucking sand and shite. What the fuck did they fucking eat? Did they fucking eat the fucking sand? Fucking. Now tell you what. Let's name it. Fucking hell, right? Fucking hell. There's that fucking moon up above, right? And ask a fucking cunt. I says to him, "Oi, mate, where's that fucking moon come from? Because I don't fucking recognise it before." And he says, "Nah, mate, fucking eye elf, innit? He fucking became a moon." The fuck do you mean he became a moon? Yeah, mate, he did some fucking shit, didn't he? Fucking twink lad got fucking fuck up bum, didn't he? Got fucking turned to moon. How the fuck does a fucking eye elf become a fucking moon? I don't want to be outside having a good fucking nosh right in fucking garden and look up and see fucking eye elf moon fucking staring down at me. It's a bit fucking shite, innit? Anyway, so as proper fucking red-blooded Briton, right? I got no fucking law, Anna. I got no fucking law, mate. You got these fucking lizard cunts down up to fucking swampland, yeah? Up down fucking Southend. They fucking shank you with their fucking mouth teeth. They fucking look at them funny. They got fucking order law. You get us proper Breton lads, right? We got no fucking law, mate. We got magic and shit. That's about fucking it. It's proper fucking shite, mate. It's proper fucking shite. Like I go over to fucking Morrowind. They got. Have you fucking seen Morrowind? The fucking place is riddled with fucking dwarves, mate. It's a right fucking shithole, innit? You got big fucking mountain up top, fucking smoke coming out of it. You ain't got that shit in fucking IROG. No, mate, no. Anyway, mate. So that's mate. So that's the story of how I went down to fucking bakery, innit?
Can I just interrupt for a sec? Wouldn't it be funny if someone comes here, they click on the Mannimarco stream, and they just hear this shit?
Yeah.
We have some very talented people on the server.
Dude, we just.
That was hilarious. It reminded me of Snatch.
Thanks
What
everyone.
was
That
that?
was great.
It's a shotgun.
I might
It's a
have to
fucking
take
anti-aircraft
out
gun,
that little
Vincent.
segment. I might have to take like a sound sample that entire thing and then make an animation of it, maybe if I feel motivated.
That's hilarious. Well,
All
good
right.
job, Reiner. First time meeting. It was a great introduction.
Yeah. Nice. I'm trying to picture that anti-aircraft gun bit from Snatch now, but in Skyrim. It's like, Vincent, what the fuck is that? It's a fucking sword, isn't it? A fucking sword. That's the same as fucking dildo about it's a fucking sword.
Oh my god.
It's behind you, Tyrone. When you reverse, things come from behind you.
All right.
I
Thanks
love that movie so
everyone.
much.
See you on the next one.